Shilpa, there is something that happened. We are going live now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, welcome everyone to Dream Career Talk Show. Today we have a very special guest or talking on a very important and a special topic called IPR. How can someone protect their intellectual property? What are the rules and guidelines? Why IPR is important? There are so many things that people and businesses ignore, especially when it comes to intellectual property, copyrights. There are so many who are either less aware or no awareness about this topic. So, how can also someone build a career in IPR? To understand more about IPR, we have our today's special guest, Shilpa Chaudhury, who is an advocate specializing in IPR and comes with great knowledge and experience. Shilpa Chaudhury was born and brought up in Odisha. She has done her law from KIIT University, Odisha. She has specialization in intellectual property and worked in 12 different organizations, including Copyright Office of India and Lex Protector LLP. And currently, she heads the IP division of Saga Legal. Shilpa, welcome to Dream Career Talk Show. It's amazing to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here and I'm so excited that I'm going to talk about my favorite topic, and that is intellectual property. So, yeah, thank you.
Welcome. And I know this topic is very important because a lot of people, what I have seen is people and organizations are not really very well aware of this. And because of not having awareness, they don't really take the right actions. And sometimes when they get into those challenges, that's where they realize the importance of it. So it's amazing to have you here who comes with a lot of experience. So let's start with, first of all, your dream career. Like, how did you get started onto this, and was it something that you were always passionate about? So talk to us about your life journey from childhood in terms of getting into this career.
Well, to start with, I was definitely not one of those super ambitious kids who know what they want to do. I used to hear, so my elder sister always used to say that, I want to become a doctor. I want to serve people for free. And whenever anyone used to ask me, I was always confused. I did not know, what I'm supposed to do. And it was always a big question mark. And as a kid, you start feeling anxious that am I doing something wrong? Am I the only one who doesn't know what they want to do? And everyone around me is so aware. But yeah, luckily, I became a fan of Sherlock Holmes. Although I'm
Hmm.
not doing anything what Sherlock Holmes does, but yeah, I read a lot, and I became a fan of Sherlock Holmes. And then I read one book called To Kill a Mockingbird. And somewhere, I resonated so much with that book that I wanted to do something which bring change in the society. I wanted to leave an impact that, somebody should, I should bring change in an organization, in the society, in any which way, even in a small way. So yeah, that's what I had always thought. And I come from a very, very humble background, and when I told my parents after 12 that I want to do law, so they went berserk, like, what, why do you want to do law? You have done science, you go for engineering, you go for medical, what is law? So in India, for some reason, lawyers, are called liars also. That lawyers lie and they cheat and whatnot. So yeah, my parents being a teacher and a government officer, they were like, no, you are not allowed to do law. But yeah, somehow convinced them. But yeah, once I got into law school, I was very much interested in international law. So I always, again, with the thought that, I want to bring change. So I always wanted to join UN. I wanted to bring a change in United Nations. I wanted to do something about human rights. But somehow, I just, that did not happen, of course, because that's not a small thing. Of course, it's not impossible, but that's a very long journey. And then I took my specialization, which is intellectual property, and I started working in the organizations. Like I've worked in good law firms who do only IP. Then I worked in copyright office. So somehow, I really liked the subject. I really liked the idea of someone protecting what they have created. And when you create something, it's like your baby. So you or any person does not want anyone else who hasn't given any contribution in making that, take it away, take the credit. So the whole idea behind intellectual property, the whole mechanism was very, very interesting for me. And somehow I fell in love with the subject, and it was decided during college only that this is something I want to stick to throughout my life. This is something I can build my career. This is something I can do my entire life without even, getting frustrated. And I feel that if you're working, you should be passionate about it. Your work should not feel like work. You should not cry that shit. Yeah, I have to go tomorrow to office. So work should be fun, something you should enjoy. So yeah, I love intellectual property, and that's why became it's never a job for me. If you call me at night and ask me that, Shilpa, I want to know about trademark, I'll get up and I'll start explaining it to you. So yeah, I'm very, very passionate about intellectual property, and I think I'm lucky enough to have gotten the chance to pursue my passion. So yeah, that's more or less about it.
Great. Nice to know about your journey. And of course, as you shared, a lot of preconceived notion about legal, right, law, and career in law. I think that is where a lot of parents get stuck at and students get challenges there, right?
Yeah.
And you said you were able to convince to your parents. Now, if there is somebody who wants to get into law, first of all, right, can you help us with the path, right, that you took in terms of the prerequisites, the kind of education that somebody has to go through,
Okay.
and how do somebody also handle this kind of challenge with parents and others coming up with this kind of preconceived notions?
Well, I would say I'm lucky there also. I have a very supportive elder sister who was there to convince my parents along with me that it's okay. Somebody should do something different from our family. And my family is full of engineers. So my sister herself is an engineer, but she somehow convinced them that lawyers are not the people you see. They can do better. They do better. They bring a lot of change. So you
Right.
can't see that. That's why you don't realize that. And yeah, I would say for me it was my sister who convinced my parents, and I'm a younger child, so all the attention which goes to for parents, the burden is on the elder child, and for younger child it's like, yeah, yeah, you do whatever you want to do. So yeah, it was easy for me. Yeah, but nowadays I think even parents realize that engineering or medical is not the only way to go through if you have done science. But other than that, to do law, you don't necessarily have to do science or arts. You can do anything, whatever you want in your 12th. But you have to give an exam called CLAT, that is common law admission test. So that exam, and there are a lot of other exam. There is LSAT also. There are colleges which conduct their own exams. So yeah, you can give those exams. So there are some very basic subjects which come, like your legal aptitude, English, and maths, logical reasoning. So yeah, and you have to clear that exam, and voila, you are in law school. And after that, of course, getting through law school is also not a cakewalk because we have to do a lot of internships. But yeah, if you're passionate about it, again, then it becomes fun. You get to know a lot of things, and it's so fascinating. Like even now, when I get to know something, and like I did not know about it.
Great, nice. Thank you for sharing that. I think anybody in the family who can be a support or convince parents, I think that helps as well. And when you take that path, right, is there any step in that path where you actually decide about your specialization? You did your CLAT, now you got into law, right? And then what stage do you decide, like what is your specialization that you pick from there, and how does that move forward?
So our college had specialization. KIIT has the option of specialization. In third year, you get to choose. There are a lot of other subjects like corporate law, taxation, international law, intellectual property. So there are a lot of subjects where you can, choose which specialization you want to do. But otherwise, if you go for masters, also there are special, like you get to choose one subject in which you can do your specialization in. But yeah, meanwhile, you can also do diplomas. There are a lot of other courses which are available. So if you have to find your interest and stick to it.
Great. And IPR is your specialization, intellectual property rights. So, can we understand more about what is actually IPR?
Okay, so I'll just tell you very basic meaning of it. It's very simple. It's pretty much self-explanatory. So, like you have properties, right, outside the world, and there are boards that trespassers will be prosecuted. There will be fences that you cannot enter this, you'll be prosecuted for that. So just like that, those properties, we have intellectual property. But why it's called intellectual property is because you use your intellect to come up with this property. You have given a lot of hard work to come up with this property. So this is exactly not a tangible property. It's intangible, like you can't see it, but this property is there because you have given your hard work, you have thought a lot, you have done a lot of research and development on this. That is why it's called intellectual property. So what does it encompasses will be trademark, that is your business name, your business logo, your slogan, your tagline, then any musical notation which you must have heard, those things. Then, if you are selling a product, the shape of your product can also be trademarked. So, trademark is one part of it. Then we have copyright, we have patents, and we have designs. And the fun part about intellectual property is that it's not mandatory to register it, which is very shocking that why you should not register it, and like what is the catch. So it's not mandatory to register it because it's very, very territorial in nature. So you cannot say that, I have a trademark registered in India, I'll go to US, I'll start a business. Because I have a trademark registered in India, I don't have to get a trademark done in US. But that's not the thing. You have to get your trademark done in US as well. And in majority of countries, all the intellectual properties, in India, it's not mandatory to register. Why? Because trademarks are first to use. So if you are someone who have been using a mark from a very long time, you become the prior user of that mark. Now, obviously, your question will be then why go for registration? Everything is going fine. Why get into so much legalities part of it? Why face lawyers? Well, because when you have registration over a trademark, it becomes your evidence that you have a trademark registration and that you are the owner of that trademark. You can use that trademark. And the best part about having a registration is that you can sue another person for trademark infringement. If you don't have a registration, you cannot sue anyone. So of course you can sue because you will be the prior user, but in that case you have to prove with a lot of evidences that you are the prior user. But in this case, you have a registration certificate and you just show it to them that I have a registration certificate, and that's why you are not allowed to use the mark. This is about trademark. Now, copyright and patents. So copyright is over your literary, dramatic, and artistic works you get. Again, this is also a monopoly which you get for a certain period of time, that nobody can copy your script or your book or whatever you have written. And the fun part also is that all intellectual property are interconnected, so you can get copyright over your logo also, which
Mhm.
people don't know. And then comes patents. So patents is basically, if you have an invention, you're working on something new and you want to protect it, then you go for a patent. So you get 20 years till which, only you have monopoly over it. But after 20 years, your invention will come into public domain. So anyone from the public can use the patent after the expiration date. So, yeah, that's more or less about what intellectual property is. I hope I did not make it legal because I tend to do so.
Right, you say you simplified it, and thank you for that. And since I come from the coaching industry, and there are a lot of coaches connected with me, like when people are writing their books, especially right,
Right.
becoming those authors. So the
Hmm.
titles of the book also, these get like really like patented, copyright, IPR, what is it, and how important this is for somebody to do this.
Okay, so literary work, of course, comes under copyright, and you have to get registration over it again to prove that you are the author. Technically, the moment you create something, you automatically get copyright over it. But it's
Mhm.
better to get a protection over it because again, it's your conclusive proof that you are the rightful owner of the work. So for authors, it's very important. Not only for authors, any business, small, big, just started years ago, still haven't got it because why to go for it? Because nobody cares. Well, I would like to say that post pandemic, when everything is online, everyone is online, even small shops, everyone, literally everyone is online. So we all are very vulnerable right now when it comes to intellectual property. Intellectual property wise, all the business entities are so vulnerable. Anybody can copy anyone from anywhere, and you would not know that who is doing what. And the whole idea why you should not be copied is because when you are selling your book has content which makes your book different from your competitor's book. This book has something which the other book doesn't have. Although they might be from the same genre, but there will be differences. So by the name, the readers or the consumer, they differentiate both of you. So that is the reason why you don't want to read an local Indian author and you want to read classic literature because they have a brand value. Not saying that local Indian authors are bad, not at all. But yeah, that is how you differentiate between two products. Or if I give you another example, if you go and to buy soft drinks and you see Coca Cola and suppose some other local brand, and you choose Coca Cola over that local brand is because it has a brand value. Coca Cola has a brand value. They have done extensive advertisement. They have spent so much money. They're literally everywhere. You can see them. So you know them. So even if the product, we don't know about the product, but in your mind, you have a very good image about the product that this must be a very good product. I've seen so much advertisement. This person does this. This is the brand ambassador and whatnot. So that is why you go for it. So the same thing happens in every segment of business, when even when it comes to books. So, whenever you are creating something, it's very, very important that you are aware about it because tomorrow it might happen that you think about an idea for a book that this is the plot and this happens and that happens, and you're just talking to a friend that I'm thinking that I will write a new book and this will be the idea behind it. This will be the plot. Now you don't write it, you take some time, your friend goes writes it, gets it published. Now you do not have anything to say that this was my original idea because ideas per se is not protected anywhere under any law. So how can you protect it better? Whenever you are creating even a script, it's just a script, it's not a book yet. You have done a script, your first job should be to go for a copyright filing or copyright protection or just filing. So you file it or you publish it, that becomes the proof that you are the rightful owner, you are the rightful publisher of this book, and this is your work because you came up with it first. So that is why it's very, very important for creator in any level to go to know about intellectual property because awareness is the first step, I would say.
Right.
Then only you'll go forward with it.
Yeah, on the same lines of copyright, like if there are some people who actually forget about like copyright, and there might be people who are using copyright, like we always say, copyright free images, right? Copyright, like when we are using certain quotes, right?
Hmm.
Even for somebody who is writing a book or sharing on certain platforms, right?
Hmm.
We give actually the credit to that particular author or something,
Hmm, hmm,
right?
hmm.
What if somebody is ignorant or not aware of this and then starts using somebody else's quote or images in maybe book or in their channels and all? So what kind of challenge or problem they get into if they are not following the laws?
Well, they might be sued because ignorance of law is not an excuse.
Right.
So, yeah, usually, if it is a copyrighted image, you can't download it without paying for it because that's the royalty part which you have to pay to buy it. You're literally buying it. So, that is a royalty part of it. Otherwise, so you can't. And all the other things which are available in the, like free. Like out there in the public, you can download it. For those, they are usually not, that there should not be a problem legal point of view, because they are available in open source, so it should not be an issue. But it's always better to check properly before using anything, because you never know. Tomorrow you can get a legal notice from any lawyer saying that you are not supposed to use it.
Right. I think awareness is, as you said, is very important, right? If
Yeah,
you are
so even
ignorant. Hmm.
yeah, even for small businesses who are just starting, who don't know that you know this might be the consequences, they should definitely take legal very very seriously, because you're just starting up. And in India, people usually think, okay, legal should be the last, and I will spend money on marketing, I'll spend money on branding and everything. But that should not be the case. Legal should be your first priority, because you don't want to your reputation or whatever your hard work to go down just because you did not know about it. You did not know that some kind of legal provision exists under which I was supposed to do certain thing and I did not do it. So just to safeguard your hard work, it's very very important to go for any kind of intellectual property registration.
Right. And if people are not aware, or if people want to build their awareness, and if they want to get that kind of support, right, whom do they reach? Because again, like a lot of people even not aware of what kind of authorities who can actually support them, right? As you are into legal in IPR specialization. So how do you people identify who are the right people to go there?
Well, you can always reach out to your chartered accountants. They
Mhm.
will be the first person who can tell you that what all are you supposed to do. And some chartered accountants, they consult with lawyers. They pass it on for the lawyers to do the trademark filings and everything. Some people do it on their own. But yeah, your CA or your company secretary should be the first person who can make you aware about it. And yeah, of course, we are there also. Saga Legal is will be very very happy to help any startup
Right. Of
from the
course.
beginning, in the middle, towards the middle, towards your progress. We will always be there.
Right, of course, yeah, and I think the services you have been offering has been amazing, right? People
Yeah.
I know have been giving great testimonials out there. So definitely one recommendation for people who are looking out for that, Saga Legal, right? Because of the experience and the value that you have created in the marketplace. Now, what is the role of somebody like you, like in IPR? Like what role or what is that the day-to-day activities? If I have to understand more about the role, right? What is that you do as in particular in your role?
Well, I start whenever a company starts, because
Mhm.
usually businesses are not aware about what exactly are they sitting on, like what is the intellectual property they're sitting on, what all are there, what needs to be protected, what does not need to be protected. They have no idea about it. So we start from giving them awareness that all these things are there. These things might be detrimental for you in future. So we start from a very basic steps of giving them insights on intellectual property, like what is it, why is it, and how is it. So we start with that. Then we help them in identifying those intellectual property, like what all are there. So first is giving awareness. Second is identifying those, that you have a software, you have a trademark which can be protected, you have a logo which can be protected, you are selling a product, your shape of your product can be protected, your product have very unique slogan that can be protected. So like that, then it comes to the protection part of it, that is filing. So we do assist in all the filings and everything. And in some cases, there are filings which needs to be done in a very particular way, like if you are showing that you are a prior user of the mark, you have to prove that you are a prior user of the mark, you have to attach evidences, a lot of different kind of evidences, so we help in that as well. Once the filing is done, our work is definitely not done there. Then comes the objection part of it, which registry raises. Now, whenever they think that a mark cannot be trademark registered, or there are similar marks, so this mark is not new. So then we reply to those. Then at times there are hearings when registry is not happy with your reply, they are not satisfied with your reply. There are hearings, so we assist in those hearings as well. Then comes the infringement part of it. Now you have a trademark registration, everything is good in the world, but what next? Are you just going to sit on it? You are not going to do anything about it. Then it has no value. It's useless. So how to utilize it is creating a brand value, because trademark registration always helps in increasing, enhancing your brand value. So how to do it? We also help in spotting infringers to the companies, because you wouldn't know who is copying you or whom you might copy.
Mhm.
Tomorrow it might happen that you get a legal notice saying that this mark is ours, you are not supposed to use it, but you did not know about that when you started the business. So now what are you going to, like, you start your business again from scratch, which will be very, very expensive for any business for that matter. So we also do a search for you, that okay, these people are infringing your trademark, you might infringe these people's trademark. So the this is the thing which is happening. And then what happens is that we again give them further legal recourse, that what you can do next. Like, you want to send them a notice, you want to settle it outside the court, how do you want to go about it? So what happens is, the more marks you stop copying you from, the more your brand value increases. So long story short, we help people in enhancing their brand values, we help authors and inventors in protecting their hard work. And yeah, we're basically doing a very good job.
Great, wonderful there. And now, typically, how much time does this process take? Like, if somebody has to register their IPR or copyrights and all, like, is it a very long duration or is it like short duration? How much time does it typically take for this process?
So filing takes won't take a lot of time. Filing I can do like tuck tuck tuck, but yeah, the time consuming part is the registration process, where we can help. And yeah, the registration usually varies. If you are getting an objection, hearing is involved, then it might be 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
But if you are not getting any objection or anything, then it should be done in 6 months.
All right. And
But that's
one,
not the case with patents. Patent takes longer time, but it also
okay.
gives a very good protection. If you have a patent on your product, oh, nothing like it.
Great. Now, one of the assumption of people, or one thing that people, I can call it as a myth or assumption, where people feel that lawyers means they should be wearing a black coat, going to court, right? And then that is what the role of anybody who is into legal. Now, you are into IPR. So, in terms of going to court or in terms of wearing that black coat and doing work from home, how does this look like?
I do wear black coats during the hearings. I'm also
Okay.
wearing black right now, justifying all the myths.
All right.
But yeah, there are different areas of law. It's not always tarik pe tarik, like it happened in the movies. There are different areas of law. You have litigation lawyers, you have non-litigating lawyers who don't go to court, but they also work as hard as them, and their life is also as exciting as the litigation lawyers. So yeah, these are the people, who take the other work, like your registration and everything. So yeah, for now, in during the pandemic, even all the hearings used to happen online. So I think the legal fraternity somehow has, gotten used to the online thing, because all the trademark hearings and everything happens online nowadays. Although they have option that you can either come or it can be video conferencing, but because there are different registries, it's always better to go for video conferencing.
Great. So that means you don't have to all the time be wearing that black coat and go to that court. That is not all IPR, right? Whatever the role
Uh,
you play, it can be done from home. It can be like done also being there. Like how much of the
I would
time
say
would be
it's
spent in the
both.
court? Okay.
Sorry.
How much of the time typically in a month would you spend in a court? Like if somebody gets into a role like you, right? How much time do they spend in the court and how much time is the back end work in terms of working on researching and other things?
So again, it depends. Like, you can be a litigation lawyer for intellectual property, and you can only take, the infringing cases, like, which goes to court. Then you can be a full-time litigation lawyer who is an IP lawyer, who is taking only the IP part of it, like the IP litigation part of it. And you can choose to be the other kind of lawyer who, help in identifying the infringers and sending them legal notice, getting your IP registered and everything, and the advisory part of it, of course, very very important.
Great. And we spoke about how someone can get into this particular field of IPR, right? Legal. And that's like pre qualification criteria, getting into CLAT and then getting into specialization and all of that. But how does the career trajectory look like for these people? Like somebody who wants to get into this particular career, what is the career
Looks very
trajectory,
good
the
for
path?
me, for sure.
Okay. No, but if they have to climb the career ladders, like if I have to talk about somebody into IT, right? Getting in as a software engineer, then they become a team lead, then they become a technical manager, then they become a director, and then a VP. That's how the trajectory is. But in this field, how does the career trajectory look like?
So if you necessarily don't have to do law to become something in IP. You can be a trademark agent, you can be a patent agent also. For becoming a patent agent, you have to come from a technical background, like you need to do engineering or BSc, and then you can go for patent agent examination, which is a very difficult exam to crack, but yeah. So you can go there, and now I would say that IP is booming in India, so everything is going to be great. And if you enter into a law firm, then yeah, you start as an associate, then you keep on growing, like you then become senior associate, then principal associate, then if everything is good, you can become a partner as well. So yeah, and now I think post pandemic, intellectual property is something which people also have, I'm hoping, that become aware about. And you can actually see, it's happening a lot. Like infringements are happening in a large scale after post pandemic, I would say, because everyone is online, everything, like anyone is copying anyone from anywhere. You don't know who
Right.
is copying you. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
in IP, in India, it's very good scope.
Yeah, I would agree. Like after the pandemic, especially, and today India moving into online learning and all of this, everything has moved online. So I think the demand for IPR and this particular field has grown, and I think this would continue for a longer time. So that's great insights knowing about this career, right? And I think we had a wonderful conversation till now about
Yeah.
understanding about IPR and how can somebody enter into this field and why it is important, right? So it was a great conversation. You want to share any uh, parting words for the audience, right, so that we can conclude it on a high note?
Well, it was really fun, and I hope that I have given you some insight on why intellectual property is so important So I also want to share this, that I interact with a lot of entrepreneurs, and majority of them say that I am very small. I don't need all these things. It's not required for me. It's not for me. Well, because I'm in such a platform, I'd like to say that it's because you are small, you are at a higher risk of being
Mhm.
copied. Because people will think 5 to 6 or maybe nth time before copying Coca Cola or a bigger brand. But because you are small, you have a unique logo or a unique name or unique product or unique service, it's very, very easy for you being copied by somebody else. So that is why it's very important to know about it, uh, like and whenever you start a business, it's that time only you are supposed to start with intellectual property as well. Don't think that this is not mandatory, so I don't need it, it's not for me, we'll see later. So all this procrastination only, you know, makes things work for you. So it's better that start with your intellectual property as soon as possible. Tomorrow, if your business doesn't work out, you can always sell the registered trademark, which will be of much much value than doing nothing with it. So yeah, I would say whenever you need any awareness about intellectual property, about anything else, feel free to reach out to Saga Legal. We are in Delhi and Bangalore. So yeah, in
Great.
Whitefield in Bangalore and in Hojkas in Delhi. Yeah.
All right. And any online channels where they can reach out to you as well? Any website or anything you want to recommend?
Yeah, we have a website and we are also on LinkedIn.
Okay, fine. So people who are looking for protecting their intellectual properties, definitely Saga Legal. You can reach out to their website, and Shilpa Chaudhury is also on LinkedIn and other social media channels. So you can follow her. You can reach out for any awareness or any benefits that you are looking for and protecting your intellectual properties. And thank you, Shilpa, for making people aware of IPR. And I believe it's very important, even if it is a startup or a big company, protecting the intellectual property is very important. And that will actually create your brand and help you to grow bigger. Right?
I hope I have made an impact.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for your time here and thank you for
Thank
sharing that wonderful
you.
message with
Thank
people.
you. Thank you so much for having me. It was so, so, so much fun. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Shilpa. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. And for people who are going to watch us later, I'm sure you will learn a lot from this. And then this is one important episode from where you can get a lot of value about IPR, especially if you are running your organization, or if you are a coach, or if you are a startup, or if you have existing businesses, then this is very critical for you. So please do pay attention and then get your intellectual property rights registered. So, with that, thank you, everyone, and good night.